Hi, it's Jason from Refurbishing RC, and we're looking at the Yokomo 870C, which Masami Hirosaka did really well with back in the 1989 IFMAs held at St Ives, Sydney, Australia, when the Team Yokomo team came out with their 2.2-inch tyres, and they did some really weird stuff back then, like taking samples of dirt back to Japan and recreating the track, and certainly put Masami Hirosaki in a really good place because he did really well with his fully customized Yokomo 870C. It wasn't what you could buy out of the box, but it did resemble something like that. But it inspired many of us. So over time, we've gone out and we've chased down these cars, and I've built them, I've raced them, and I just really love the styling. I love that Japanese body. Friends of mine have owned them, and this was one that I painted for my good friend Chris. And another good friend of mine had heard that I had a bit of a passion for these models, and he told me that he had this particular car in his possession, which was his late brother's Yokomo 870C, which he in fact also did race at that St Ives racetrack back in the later part of the 80s and no doubt through the early part of the 90s. And anyway, these are some photos I took of the car when it made it into my workshop, and as you can see, it's in a bit of a sorry state, so it just hadn't been used in the longest of time. But Richard had asked me, hey, would you be able to help me clean this thing up and get it going? And knowing full well that I've taken on lots of projects even all at one time, he asked me to have a go at it for him. So yeah, the car was pulled down, everything was cleaned up and inspected for wear and broken parts. And what I will say is that I have tried peroxide, and it wasn't that impressive for me. And I even tried boiling the parts because I was told it would strengthen things, but no, do not boil the parts. So whenever I clean parts, white parts, it usually goes in some nappy sand with some warm water, and it just really brings them back. Which the next thing is the bulkheads and the magnesium alloy components in the 870C. I figured it was time I got myself a sandblasting unit, and had some cars I wanted to do some parts on myself, but I managed to do Richard's first. So as you can see here, the before and afters, it's just incredible just how much of a difference you can get from this. And basically, yeah, these things were media blasted with the finest media I could get my hands on, and yeah, the finish, in my opinion, came up really well. So they were, also washed, dried, and then clear coated afterwards. And I think the effort was worth, or the reward was worth the effort.
So I've pulled out the spur of this old dog fighter, and I'll tell you what. Look at that wobble on the shaft. Oh my god. Yeah, the one-way bearing, I think, is kaput. So there's a significant amount of movement on that shaft of that spur. Anyway, we'll get to it.
And so a new replacement was found.
Bearings don't usually give me too much trouble, but getting them out of this old dog fighter was. Now, I think this is going to be the ultimate test for the ultrasonic cleaner. This old thing, what is this, Epic raw stock motor out of Japan with like a sealed end bell. It's kind of bizarre. It's absolutely putrid, and look at that bearing on the end of the armature there in that can. That is absolutely filthy. But I'm going to drop this thing into the ultrasonic cleaner and we'll see how it comes out.
Looking over the old parts, some of the bits were cracked and worn out, so new bits were replaced. But something we wanted to try out was this gun blue product that we'd heard of over on RC10 Talk, people using, and I've got to say it was an impressive experience to have, because it may not have made them look brand new, but it got these universal drive shafts looking really nice. So yeah, that was good. looking at all the aluminium bits and pieces, this aluminium and steel, I like to polish things and get them working properly, and that doesn't hurt to make them look good as well. But yeah, this is what I like to do with all my collection really. I like to go through and just make sure everything is working and functioning as it should. Nothing worse than corrosion, stopping things from doing what they should. And looking at these really old shocks, I wasn't happy with the seal arrangement, so I, I actually ended up coming up with another solution. So I found these shocks to leak quite easily and work quite poorly, and so the idea was to put a bit of effort in. The dogfighter's coming back together now, and what I've done over a period of time is I've taken some photos and even shot some little videos off my iPhone and just sent them off to Richard just to show him the progress of how things have been going. And as you can see, it's still got the original body that his 11-year-old brother back in the day had painted, and you know, I'm sure he had every intention to do a good job of it, and you know, at age 11 years, it wouldn't have been easy. You know, this car doesn't look brand new, but you know, it certainly has come a long way. Everything's functioning as it should, and I don't liquid mask, I use tape, which is just such a challenge really, because the 870C body really requires a lot of hard work to make work properly. But you know, I was just really driven to help Richard out and basically see out his younger brother's ambition from back in the day. And what you'll notice here that I've done is even chased up some more of these original old school decals that I've had in stock. And in regards to the body, I've laid the colours in the order that they should have been, and with correct masking, so there's been very little bleeding or any paint issues. But as you can see here in the photos, it's come up exactly as maybe his brother might have intended back when he originally painted his 870. So the concept was always to get this Yokomo 870C to resemble in the best way possible what Richard's brother's ambition was. So yeah, that's the way we've done it. And yeah, what a job it's been. It came off really great. You know, Richard's very proud of the job. I'm very proud of the job. You know, it's maybe not entirely to my taste, but you know, the car was set back to the way it was initially expected to be back in the 80s, when Richard's younger brother had bought, built, and painted and raced this car. So yeah, it was a good experience, and I'm glad to have been a part of it. And where are we up to now? Okay, so onto the battery cells. I had some Sanyo 1700 SCRCs, and I actually broke one of the packs down and heat shrinked some of the cells and soldered them up and made a saddle pack battery for it. And as you can see here, I'm actually putting a bit of charge into it, and I've refitted all the original electronics. I serviced the motor and basically got the thing completely functioning with all the original radio, the original crystals, everything. So right down to all period correct everything. Nothing was modern or, you know, brushless or lipo or 2.4. And here we are at the very end of this build, which took months to do, and every part of the car was cleaned and fixed up. And as you can hear in the background, that motor is singing perfectly, and that was one of the motors that came with the car. And you know, it's just fantastic to see that old Tekin ESC working. That FET high torque, high speed servo is cranking away. And yes, I did actually replace that busted servo horn before it went back to Richard. But yeah, the cells worked, the radio worked, and you know, I'm excited for Richard to get this car back. And you know, these were the parting photos of it after it left me and went back into Richard's care, and I'm sure he's going to appreciate it for many years going forward. So yeah, thanks for watching, and it was a real pleasure.